Um, this is a kind of interesting series I want to do. So, the past few months, I realized that to get any top tier software engineering job, you have to be good at Leetcode because you have to be able to pass the interviews. And so I'm a second year student at this point. My freshman year is come and gone, um, and I really don't know how to do Leetcode that well. So I can do a few problems. I can do some of the easy ones, maybe a medium here or there. But to be honest, I'm really rusty on algorithms and just data structures and stuff in general. Because I took a data structures class in high school and I learned a lot then. Then I kind of forgot most of it. And then 2 semesters ago, I had another data structures class. I learned a lot then, and I've kind of forgotten it. But at this point, I need to learn because the only thing between right now and recruiting for next summer is this summer because I'm gonna have interviews and stuff in the fall and winter of this year, and I'm not gonna have time during school, I think, to be studying this kind of stuff. So I figured we're in the summer right now. Why not just do it right now? And even though I'll have an internship going on, um, I'm hoping that won't be too much work, right? Like, I feel like school is a lot harder than internships. Because school, you have not only going to classes, but you have a lot of exams to study for and homework and stuff outside of class. An internship, um, once you clock out, you're done, right? So you don't have to think about that at the end of the day. And so what I did basically last night is I compiled a spreadsheet basically with everything that I need to do um, until June. I'll fill in the rest of this stuff later as I get there, but for now, I've been following this thing called the Tech Interview Handbook. Um, I'll open it up here. I don't know if that's actually visible. If I open OBS, okay, it is. Okay. Um, yeah. Okay. Cool. Um, but yeah, this thing basically gives you a layout for um, passing the interviews, basically, and it basically lays out step by step everything you need to study. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna follow it, and I'm gonna see how well it works because I looked through it. It looks pretty good. So I've studied for LeetCode before. I kind of know the whole gist of it. Um, I just don't really know the stuff anymore. Like again, I kind of forgot everything. So I'm just gonna be going through this handbook for hopefully the entirety of summer, right? This is um like the day I go back to school or the day before I go back to school. So hopefully by then I can be kind of not an expert, but at least pretty good enough that I can, pass interviews. And hopefully every night I'll be able to like record a video. Okay, I know it says May 7th, so I'm technically one day behind, but this is gonna count as May 6th. Um and I'll do this one tomorrow, I guess. So for now, we're gonna start with the first link here, which is basically array algorithms, and we're kind of just gonna read through it. We're gonna look at things related to arrays, and we're gonna try to solve some problems. And yeah, we're gonna see. So I allotted 2 days to study arrays. So hopefully I'll get through half of it, maybe a little less than half of it. It's already kind of late at night, but I'm just gonna go through it and you know just start chugging along. All right, so arrays hold values of the same type at contiguous memory locations. Yeah, okay, I learned this in like data structures and my computer architecture class. So the main benefit of arrays is that access time is O of 1 because you use pointer arithmetic, whereas in a linked list or something, you have to kind of iterate through the whole thing. In arrays, if you know the index, you can just get to there basically immediately. So in an array, we're usually concerned about the position or index of an element and the element itself. Different programming languages implement arrays under the hood differently. It can affect the time complexity. So yeah, I don't think I said this, but I'm going to be using Python for this, mainly because Python's probably my best language right now. I mean, it's also what I'm going to be using for my internship over the summer, so it's just easier if I stay consistent with that. Also, it's a lot less verbose than other languages like Java. Um, so that means in interviews you can type stuff out quicker if you have to type less and worry about like less other stuff. So like instead of like creating an array list in Java and like importing it and all that, you can just like create a list in Python. So that's just like easier, right? Yeah, arrays are the most common issue. This in my interview, I don't know if I said this, but in my interview last fall, I mean, I got the problem wrong in the interview. I didn't have time to code it all up by the time I figured out how it worked. I kind of just explained to the interviewer how it should work, and I guess that was acceptable enough. I mean, they passed me, which is pretty nice. Um, so yeah, shout out my interviewer for passing me, even though I got the question wrong. But that question was an arrays question, and it was about sorting. I think it was like sorting a list of objects in an array, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so this is definitely arrays are definitely the most important thing, and I only blocked out 2 days for it, but I anticipate coming back to this. Um, okay, so advantages: store multiple elements of the same type with one single variable name. Yeah, accessing elements is fast as long as you have the index. Yeah, so that's what I was saying earlier. As opposed to linked lists where you have to traverse from the head. Yeah. Okay, yeah, disadvantages. Addition and removal of elements into the middle of an array is slow because the remaining elements need to be shifted to accommodate the new/missing element. So yeah, that makes sense. If you add something in the array, since things are contiguous in memory, you have to like shift everything along to open up a spot to put a new item. But if you add to the end of the array, like there's already a vacancy there, right? So you can kind of just plop it there. Um, okay, yeah, and this bottom part is about array resizing. So when the array size is fixed, it cannot alter its size after initialization. Yeah, so that's like in languages like Java and C. If an insertion causes a total number of elements to exceed the size, a new array has to be allocated, and the existing elements have to be copied over, and then that takes O of n time. Yeah, so adding to an array is not the best in terms of time complexity, but accesses are really fast. Okay, so these are some resources. I don't think I'll go through these right now. Maybe I'll watch these in my own time, or read through it later if I have to. But right now, I just want to get to like the sort of the meat and the potatoes. Like, what do they actually ask in the interview? You know? Okay, so common terms. So subarray, a range of contiguous values within an array. Okay, example given an array 236.154. 361 is a subarray. Okay, so that's this bit here, while 315 is not a subarray. Okay, so 3, 1, and 5 are not next to each other, so that's not a subarray, but 361 is a subarray. That's simple enough. And a subsequence, a sequence that can be derived from the given sequence by deleting some or no elements without changing the order of the remaining elements. Okay, so given an array 2, 3, 6, 1, 5, 4, 3, 1, 5 is a subsequence. Okay, so 3, then 1, then 5, right? Because this is all in order from left to right. So I guess a subarray is a special type of subsequence, right? It's a subsequence where the values happen to be contiguous as well, right? Okay, time complexities. Yeah, so this is what we did in our class a lot, our data structures class. They're really emphasizing to know all the time complexities, which is important, right? Okay, so accessing, that's if you have the index, right? So that should be O of 1. Searching O of n, that makes sense, right? Because you have to basically search through every element in the list. Now that you have to hit every element once to search through the whole thing. Okay, O of okay, this is binary search. I know how it works. I'm kind of rusty with the coding, so that is something I want to do. I believe there's a Leetcode question related to that. So I definitely want to try that because I know how a lot of things work in theory, but if I can't code it properly or like, quickly, then it'll be a problem in the interviews. Um, okay, insertion, oven, yeah, that makes sense. Inserting at the end, yeah, that also makes sense because then you don't have to shift anything, so you can kind of just plop it there in that empty memory space. Okay, so removal is just like insertion, right? If you remove in the middle, you have to shift everything back because the arrays have to be contiguous, right? You can't leave a gap in the middle of the array. Um, okay, and then removal at the end is O of 1. That makes sense. Okay, things to look at during interviews. Okay, this is what's important here. Clarify there are duplicate values in the array. The presence of duplicate values affect the answer. Does it make the question simpler or harder? Okay, I guess that's something to just keep in mind. When using an index to iterate the array elements, be careful not to go out of bounds. Yeah, that makes sense. Be mindful about slicing or concatenating arrays in your code. Typically, slicing and concatenating arrays would take O of n time. You start and end indices to demarcate a subarray / range where possible. Okay, that makes sense. I will say, I'm not super concerned about the time complexity stuff just yet. I'm not super worried about having a perfectly optimal solution for every problem. I just want to be able to approach a solution first, and then I'll focus on iterating through it and making it faster. Because I think that's also how the interview process works. Like they expect you to create like a suboptimal solution first, and then you kind of improve upon it, and eventually you reach the optimal solution. So yeah. Corner cases, empty sequence, yeah, they always do that. On Leetcode, there's always a test case with just an empty list, so you need to be able to like check for that. Um, Sequence with 1 or 2 elements, okay, so just small lists. Sequence with repeating elements, yeah, that's duplicates. Okay, duplicated values in the sequence. Okay, so this is not duplicates. This is multiple elements, not duplicates, but just the same element twice in a row or something. Okay, note because arrays and strings are both sequences, most of the techniques here will apply to string problems. Yeah, so strings are basically just arrays. Like in C, strings are just implemented as char arrays, so they're actually the same thing, essentially. Okay. Master the sliding window technique that applies to many subarray / substring problems. In a sliding window, the 2 pointers usually move in the same direction and will never overtake each other. This ensures that each value is visited at most twice, and the time complexity is still O of n. Okay, so I think what we should do is first let's look at this. Sliding window. I don't know what this links to. There's a 10-line template that can solve most substring problems. So I think I kind of know how this works, right? You have 2 pointers, like a left pointer and a right pointer, I guess. And the left pointer never overtakes the right pointer, right? Okay. Wait, there was, I will go through these sliding window problems, but there are like some other problems that I think they linked somewhere else. Also, yeah, this video, is probably going to be like unedited. Um, so it's not going to be like super duper well put together. Okay, yeah, so this is where they have the problem lists. Like, okay, to sum and all these. So this, I guess I will tackle in later weeks. But for now, I think we should just tackle the ones on this page. Yeah, I am assuming that these cover all of the things. Oh, okay. So there's essential questions and the recommended practice. But I think we should go through this first, right? Let's just go through the sliding window first. Okay, so longest substring without repeating characters. So let's read through this. Okay, given a string S, find the length of the longest substring without duplicate characters. Okay, so a substring is a contiguous, non-empty sequence of characters within a string. Okay, so it's just like adjacent characters, right? Okay, so this one we have ABC, ABCBB. The output is 3, right? The answer is ABC with the length of 3. Interesting. Okay. That makes sense, right? Because there is ABC, there's also BCA, there's also CAB, but they're all equal to 3. There is no sequence of 4 characters that doesn't contain duplicates, right? Right, so this is only just 1, because the entire string is just B's. This one, our input is here, PWWKEW, and WKE, I guess, is the, okay, so that's the long substring. Right, okay, notice that the answer must be a substring, PWKE, subsequence and not substring, right, okay. Yeah, that makes sense, right, because there's 2 W's here. They have to be, like, contiguous, right? And let's look at our constraints. Okay, so we can have a empty string. It can be of length 0. So I think that is an edge case we have to worry about, right? If the string length is 0. So I'm just gonna write out. I have like a sketchbook here. I think I'll write out. Sort of draw out my solution on this like sketchbook because I sort of have an idea, right? We have to use a sliding window, right? So we know that we are gonna have 2 pointers. So I think what we need to do first, right, is well, if the string length is 0, right, we just return 0. So I think we should create a variable to contain our return value. Let's just call it RTN, and we'll just set it to 0. So now I can check if length of string is equal to 0, then return 0, right? Wait, do we actually need to do this? We could also just check if not string is equal to 0. I don't know if that would work. Let's add that as a comment. So I'm not super familiar with all this Python syntax. Does also this should be S, by the way, not str. Okay, so now well, if its length is also 1, then we should return 1, right? Because if there's only 1 character in the string, well, the answer is going to be 1, so we know that. So I guess these are our 2 like edge cases so far. Now I think what we can do is basically set a left and right pointer, and those are going to be indices in the string. The So left equals 1, or left equals 0, right equals 1. So I'm going to write this out in my notebook here. So our string is A, B, C, A, B, C, B, B. And we start left and right there. So what we want to do is I need to log in first. Whoops. Will it save my code? Okay. I think I should blur that. I'm not editing this video though. I'll just keep it like unlisted. Okay, cool. It's stored from the code. Okay, yeah, like I was saying, we have a left and a right pointer, and I think what we need to do, right, is we basically increment r shit, that wouldn't work. What I was gonna say is we increment r until we run into a character that is equal to L. And if it is, then we know we have to increment L, but that doesn't work. Because say we had, I'll just write this in the header, right? Say we had A, B, C, C. Okay, and L is here, and R is here, right? So we start, so R is not equal to L, right? So we increment R. R is not equal to L, so we increment R. But now look at this. This sequence has duplicates. So I think what we need to do is maybe we need to keep track of if we hit a duplicate or not. Because if we do hit a duplicate, then what we need to do, I think, is we need to put L here. Okay, let me just add some random values, right? And we need to put R here, right? Because if we have ABCC, right? Once we get to ABC, or once we get to ABCC, we know we've hit a duplicate, right? So we'll figure out some way to keep track of it. I think we can create a set, right? And keep adding characters to the set. And if we visited a character in that set, then we know that we've hit a duplicate. And then from that point on, like we can't start from B because that has duplicate. We can't start from this guy either. So we have to start from the second C, right? And then wait, let me make sure this is actually visible. Okay, wait, yeah, I was just trying to make sure my face cam isn't like covering the code. But yeah. Okay, so if this happens, then yeah, we need to set L equal to R and then R equal to L plus 1. And then we basically run until R reaches the end, right? So while right, okay, I was thinking about changing left and right to R, L and R, but I think in interviews we have to, it's helpful to keep everything as simple as you can. So keep the variable names long if you have to, if they're more descriptive. So while right is less than the length of the string, I suppose. And in this case, we have 8 characters, and this is index 7. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. So Okay, so well, we'll say the size of our substring is right minus left, and then RTN is equal to max the RTN comma size. So that will update our return value and stuff, right? Then I think what we need to do, we need to create a set. So visited equals set. I think that syntax works. And let me just get the syntax real quick. The AI should tell me. Okay. Dot add and dot remove. Okay. So should we add L and R to the visited set? Or should we only add like L? I think we should only add L, actually. So we'll initialize it like this, right? Okay, and then we do. Okay, so yeah, if S index right in visited, so if it's in our set, then this is kind of where we have to reset the pointers. Okay, yeah, that makes sense, right? If it's in visited, we reset the pointers. So left equals right, right equals plus 1, and then we also need to reset the visited set, I think. So we can kind of just, I think we can just copy this form, right? Visit equals s, or set s at index left. Because, yeah, we kind of just want to restart. So I think that makes sense. Else, if it's not in the visited set, let's increment right. And then, or before we increment right, we need to do visited.add s right. So we add the character to that. And then I think is that it? Okay, so obviously we have to, at the end of this while loop, we'll return our return value. I'm tempted to test this right now. And I don't know, like, should I be testing frequently, or should I try to just make sure everything makes sense? Yeah, let's just run it on the test cases first. And let's see if it works. Oh, okay, wait, it passed all 3 of these. If I submit it, this definitely won't work, right? Okay, yeah. Okay, S equals AU, output 1, expected 2. Oh, it should be plus 1. because we need to include all of this. We need to include the whole string. Right now we're just doing index 1 minus index 0, because that only leaves 1. So I think that should fix it. Okay, so why is this giving 4? Oh, okay, so I think there's a problem with my size updating stuff, right? So, hold on. Size equals right minus left plus 1. That does make sense. Because if we had AU, right? Let me think. So I check. My question is, do we need to be... Okay, no, I think we should be updating in this loop, right? Because this might not even run sometimes. So we don't want to update the size in there. Do we want to do it in here? I'm tempted to just do this, right? Does that make sense, right? We added to so every time we increment the right pointer, we update the size. If we do this before this right plus 1, because if we do the right plus 1, it'll cancel out of the while loop, if I'm correct, like immediately. But we want to update the size. Okay, so let me run through it, right? So if our string is AU, I'll write it on this paper. L starts there, right starts there. Okay, so while right is less than length of S, yes. R is 1, and the length is 2. Okay, so this won't run, right? It's not visited. So now we do visited.add at start right. So visited holds AU. Now size equals right minus left plus 1. So that would be 1 minus left to 0 plus 1. So 1 minus 0 plus 1 is 2. Then we do right plus equals 1. Oh, okay. We also need to do this before, because we want to update RTN before we break out of the loop. So that should work, if I'm correct. So now we're only updating when we increment the right pointer. And I want to trace through it with ABC, ABC, BB as well on my notepad. ABC, ABC, BB. Okay, so we have left, right. Okay, so increment it once. So now our size is 2 minus 0 plus 1, which is 3. Actually, let me see. Is this right? So if L is on A and R is on B, right? So we add right to the visited list. Okay, whatever. The size equals right minus left plus 1. So we do 1 minus 0 plus 1, which is 2. Okay, that makes sense, right? Because we've only confirmed these first two values. Then, I mean, we don't know what this is. This could be another A, this could be another B. So we can't, yeah, it should be 3, right? It should be 2. after checking once. So I think that makes sense. I'm really hoping I'm correct here. Oh, okay, what happened here now? B is outputting 0. Why is that happening? Oh, should I just be setting this to 1? I think so, right? Okay, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. We know that the length will always be 1 if it's not an empty string, right? It will at least be 1. Okay, I'm curious to see if this works now. Oh, whoops, I hit wrong by accident. Oh, okay, still wrong. Okay. You know what? That's kind of what I figured. I didn't expect it to work on the first try, or the second try, or the third try. And that rarely happens. Okay, so DVDF is failing. We're outputting 2, and expected should be 3. So what's happening here? Okay, so we go through here, then R goes to the second D, right? That isn't visited. So now we set is my logic just wrong? Hold on. D, B, D, F. We have an L here. We have R here. And then we move R to here. And that is visited. So now, why do we put L at R's position? Why did I do that? I don't think that's correct. Because what we need to do is move R plus 1, and then we have to increment L until it gets to the duplicate. Does that make sense, right? So we have DVDF, okay, right? We need to, so if R hits that second D, what do we need to do, right? We need to move L until there is no duplicate present. I think that's what we need to do. We need to move L until we move past the letter that was a duplicate, I think. So what would that look like in BBBBB, right? If we have L, R, then we hit a duplicate on the first try. Oh I don't think that works either, because with VVVB, you can't just move L until there's no duplicates, because we'd end up moving it all the way to the end, right? So I think maybe I just approached this problem wrong. I was thinking about this. Okay, so if R hits a duplicate, what do we need to do? If we find a duplicate value, like what do we need to do? Like obviously, okay, so here's the problem here, right? In this string, if L is on the first D and R is on the second D, what I'm doing is I'm updating L to R and R to R plus 1. So then this becomes my string. And then that's why my output is only 2, because I'm kind of skipping over this possibility of being F, right? Okay, wait, I think I have an idea here. So, what I need to do is, instead of doing this, instead of doing left equals right, what we need to do we need to do a while loop in here, right? We need to do a while loop. We basically need to remove R or L from there and increment it. Right? Yeah, we need to remove SL from the set and then increment L. So visited dot remove S at index left plus equals 1, right plus equals 1. So does this work for our example, right? So if we have visited dv, so now SRI is invisited. So now we need to remove L to V. So remove SL left side. And remove L to V. And then we move R to F. Does that make sense? I honestly don't know that. Yeah, I'm kind of running out of ideas here. I might have to just check the solution soon. I really don't know. And maybe you don't need. What did I just do? Oh my god. I think maybe you don't need this line here. Honestly, I'm kind of running out of ideas. Like, I'm just gonna run some random bullshit. Okay, that just did not work. Runtime error, key error A. I just don't know what the logic is supposed to be. Like, I'm just so lost right now. I don't know what to do. And okay, like in the string DBDF, right? Okay, let's do ABC, ABCDB, ABCB, LR. So we move R. Okay, and now we hit a duplicate. So what are we supposed to do, right? We move L until it's not in. We move L until there's no longer a duplicate in that subsequence, right? Right, so we move A from L from A to B. So what if we have A, C, B, B? I mean, that's really a duplicate. That's a problem. Like, in my approach of moving L until there's no duplicates between L and R, like L can just cross R, and I don't think that should happen, right? So then that's why I did left plus one and right plus one. But that also doesn't work, I think. Unless I need. I think that was also missing. String index out of range. How? I'm so confused at this point. Okay, that just does not make sense. It's kind of a disaster for the first episode. But I mean, that's why we're going from 0 to hero. You know, we're at 0 right now. Eventually we'll be good, I hope. in the like 90 days that I have to do this, right? So I think it's okay that I'm starting out like shit, like actual complete shit. I can't even get the first problem right. To be fair, I did say I can't do most mediums. And this is a medium problem. Why am I outputting 4? Well, I got that one correct somehow. Okay, so am I just overshooting it by 1 now? I don't know. Why is this thing 4? Okay, wait. Let me just try submitting it. I just want to see if all of them are off by 1. Oh god. Why is this saying 1? So R, right? So A isn't visited. Then we increment L. Yeah, I kind of forgot I can use print statement to debug. So it says it goes from 2, 3, 4. It's also print left, comma, right. So like, when is it thinking that it's okay? Three, 4, 5, 6. So it thinks that this substring is okay. What? It's definitely invisited. Do I just need to do that as well? Okay, well, I am just totally lost. I don't think my solution is kind of correct either. I really don't even know if I'm doing this correctly. So I think I'm probably just gonna look at the solution. I know it kind of sucks that I have to do that, but I don't know. I think I've been trying for a good amount of time, and I really just don't know. But I think that's okay, right? Um, like I'm not expecting to solve every problem, so let's go ahead and look at the solution. I think we made a valiant effort. I think I do have a better understanding of 2 pointers. Um, okay, but let's look at this. Subscribe to unlock. Okay, perfect. I think I can just go to Leetcode and find it though. Longest substring without repeating characters. So yeah, I have. Oh, okay. I have watched this
Let's
video
solve
before.
Leetcode 3, longest
Let me
substring
watch it again.
without repeating characters. We're back to a classic Leetcode problem, the third one. So this one's pretty simple. We're just given a string and we want to find the longest substring without any repeating characters, right? Like how these three don't have any duplicate characters, A, B, C. This one has two A's, so this would not count as a substring without repeating characters. And we only need to return the length of this substring. So the first idea that comes to my mind at least is, so just check every single substring, check if it has any duplicates. If it doesn't, then we're just going to take the longest one of those strings and return the length. So how would that algorithm run? Okay, first we'd start at A. We want to get every substring starting at A. So just this one A, well, that doesn't have any duplicates. AB, that doesn't have any duplicates. AC, that doesn't have any duplicates either. And then we get to this first duplicate A. We have two A's now, but remember, we're checking every single substring starting at this first A. So we're going to keep this algorithm going, even though we don't have to. Every substring we get after that, like, see how we're doing it?
Okay,
Every
so this
single
is the brute
substring
force
after
solution.
is also going to have duplicates. So do we even need to
Which I
check
kind of
all
skipped
of
over because
these
I knew it was a two-pointer
starting
thing
at value
because of what
A?
they said it
This
was.
is the repeated work that we're going to eliminate with our very fundamental technique, the sliding window. So we want to only check substrings without any repeated characters. So let's actually just do
I
that.
keep
Let's
calling it
make sure
two-pointer.
that our
It's sliding.
window,
Yeah,
right, our
get that right.
subarray, our substring is always not containing any duplicates. So once we get to this next A, we're going to say, well, now we have two A's. So we need to start removing from the left. We need to start shrinking our sliding window until we no longer have duplicates. So I'm going to say remove this one from our substring. Now our substring runs from here, from the B, all the way to the A. Now it's perfectly valid, so now we can keep going. It's still only length 3 though, so next we're going to add this B. But wait a minute, now we have two B's. But my question is, how would we even know instantly whether we had a duplicate or not? Well, we can use a set for that. Sets
Okay,
will
so
only
I think I
contain one
had
of
the
each
right
character, so we'll
intuition.
automatically know if we have a duplicate. We can
I just
check it
couldn't code it for
instantly.
shit,
So we're going to
to
check
be
that we
honest.
have two B's, so
But
now
I
we're going to
think
keep
his
popping
approach is the
from the
same
left. We're
as
going to keep
mine.
shrinking.
My approach was basically, um, the first approach was wrong, right? Doing the whole, um, left equals right, right equals right. Like that was wrong, and I figured that out, because the test cases would fail it. But my other approach was kind of to keep removing characters from the back, and you can see that's kind of what I did, or like I was trying to do that here, right? I was removing the left character and then incrementing it by 1. And I was doing this, like I think I just coded it wrong, but maybe my intuition is correct. But his code, like it's definitely like simpler than this, right? Like I, that's one thing I'm not strong with is actually coding up. And I said this near the start. I said I know how some of the intuition works for these problems, but I just can't like code them. That's the problem.
Our window from the left until we remove a B. And we're going to see that the first one we remove is the B, so now we're done. So now our substring runs from this C all the way to this B. Now we're going to add another character. Once again, we have a duplicate. And once again, we can literally just remove the farthest left character, and now we're valid again. No more duplicates. We're running all the way from A to C. Next, we add a B. The interesting thing about this is that now we have to remove this A because we have to shrink our window. Our substring has to be contiguous, so we have to remove this A. But notice we still have two B's in our substring, so we got to remove another character. We have to remove this B. So now our substring runs from C to B. So we are valid again, but now our substring is only length 2. Next, we'll get to the last B, last character we're adding, and see, yep, it's a duplicate again. And don't forget that as we're removing these characters from the left, we're removing a C. We're not just removing it from our window, but we also have to remove it from our set, because our set is going to correspond to all the characters inside of our substring that we're at. So we have to remove our C from the window and move it from the set. We have to take this B and do the same thing. And now we have no more characters to add. With this sliding window technique, which is a very fundamental technique that you'll probably see a lot more in a lot of different problems, we can cut the time complexity down to big O of n. We just have to go through the entire list. Well, we might have to add and remove values from our set, but
Okay,
that's
so
a
I think
very
I know how
quick
this works.
operation. The memory complexity, because we
I
found
want
was
to
of
know
length,
how
we
to
have
go to
all the characters going to do is sliding window and continuously be a character. Now remember, if we get to a duplicate character, that means we have to update our window and our set.
Oh, okay. So here's the thing. What I need to do is basically R is always going to be increasing. In my case, right. Like right is always going to be. I dropped my pencil. And something else just fell down. Now my mistake was right is always going to be increasing. And I should have been able to realize that right is always increasing. The only thing that's variable is like left, because left stays stationary, and then sometimes it increases. When we detect a duplicate, that's when we want it to increase. But otherwise, R should be strictly increasing.
So
Which is why he does
while
it for
this
R
character that we just visit at the right pointer, S of R is already inside our character set, meaning it's a duplicate, then we got to update our window. So we have to take the left character and remove it from our set. So character set dot remove
My question
the
is,
leftmost character.
in this implementation, right? Is it not possible that L can bypass R? Like,
and then of course we have to
thing?
update that left pointer, increment it by 1. And we're going to keep doing this while that duplicate remains in the character set. After we've removed all duplicates, then we can just add this rightmost character to our set. And since at this point we know for sure that our substring doesn't have any duplicates, we can potentially update our result variable, which I never declared, so let me declare it up here. Result is initially going to be 0, and now we can update our result, so we can potentially make it larger than it is if the current window size is greater than what it is right now, which we can compute by right minus left plus 1.
Okay.
And then at the end, once we've gone through the entire string, we can return the result. If this was helpful.
Like, my question is, what if R or L becomes greater than R? Like, if you have Alright, so let me just draw this out, right? Okay, so for he also starts L and R both at 0. So if we do this for R in range length S, right? So car set equals set. Oh, so the set starts at 0. Or the set starts null to begin with. So we don't actually go to this first while loop straight off the bat, because we need to add it first. So we add that to the set. Okay, so our set contains B, say. Then result is R minus L plus 1. Okay, so result is 1. That makes sense, right? Cool. Then now we increment R, right? Okay, so now R is pointing to the second B. Then, while S of R is in charset.remove as L, and then L plus equals 1. Oh, okay, I see how this works. So L can catch up to R, but it will never overtake R, because SR can't be in the char set if L has overtaken R, because the char set only consists of like the characters that L has visited, right? I think that makes sense, right? Yeah. Char set only contains the characters that L has visited before R. I think that makes sense to me, right? Right? I'm gonna write this out and make sure I understand it. I think he kind of glanced over it in the video. Okay, let me try to code this after seeing the video, just to see if I understand it, and I'll try to explain it on the way, right? So, okay, so first you have a set of the characters that we're going to visit, right? And we'll begin L at 0. A result can equal 0 as well. I guess in his implementation, you don't actually need to specify the edge cases. I think that makes sense, right? Okay, so now what we need to do for R in range length S. So now R is going to be incrementing from 0 to the length of S, right? So we'll do. So now you check while I think S at index R in visited. So while it's in visited, what you need to do is visited dot remove L, and when you increment that, I'm pretty sure that's how it works, right? So let me just draw this out. So if L is here, okay, so for the let's just say we go to this first step. L is here. L and R. We pop SL from the set and then increment L here. And once that happens, we know we have. So once this loop finishes running, we know we have a valid subsequence. The subsequence has no duplicates. So at that point, I think is when let's let me update the result, right? But when do we update the visited set? Is it just oh, okay. I think at the end we updated visited dot add sr. That's let me add it to the set, I believe, at the end of the iteration. Now you update our result, right? Am I understanding this correctly? While SR is invisited, you remove the left, increment the left. Right will already be increment by that. Okay, well I know that this will be return result, right? Does that make sense? We add it at the end of the iteration. Like let me just trace through this and make sure. Okay. Yeah, let me trace through it one more time before I submit. Because I don't want to just submit it and kind of just guess. I don't think that's a good idea. Okay. So I visited. One. This is the add. A. So now R points to B. And so it's not there. So the result becomes 2. This becomes AB. So now R is there. So result is equal to 2 minus 0 plus 1, which is 3. And this becomes ABC. So now, this is where it happens, right? So R goes to A. So now we go to while SR visited. We visited.remove that, and then L plus 1. So L is now at B. And we don't need to add anything more to it. Okay, so I think this works. I think this makes sense. What did I do? What? Huh? What did I do wrong? What? Do I need to add this? What is my invalid syntax? What did I do wrong? What? I'm so confused. I don't know what that syntax error was. Okay. So this works. I understand why it works. I'm still so confused. Do I just not? You know what? Yeah, I just don't know how Python works. I'm too used to writing like C and Java at this point. But okay, that makes sense. Why that all works. This is something we need to master, so it's good that we did this. I think we will try and tackle these tomorrow. I don't think I can finish all of this in 2 days, to be honest. Considering how rusty I am, I don't. I honestly have no idea how they allocate like 2 hours for just like all of arrays. Like that doesn't make sense to me. But I mean that's pretty much it. It's kind of unfortunate I wasn't able to solve it, but um you have to start somewhere, I guess. So it's not like the end of the world. Honestly, I'm satisfied. I understood the solution. I know how the sliding window works. Um, yeah, I think it's just hard to think of that. Like, oh, I had the logic down, right? I just had kind of had it in very convoluted. Actually, I did get the intuition though. I just didn't know how to code it. Um, yeah, that's probably it. This video is an hour and 15 minutes long. Uh, yeah, I guess I should update the tracker. What is this probably called? Wait, I don't even know. Longest substring without repeating characters. I'll add some notes as a reflection. I did not mean to put that there. It's 5, 6. Alright. Honestly, I can't do anything right now. Struggle with logic intuition. Initially was confident about approach. Later found correct intuition was struggle to code. Now have a good understanding of sliding windows. Cool. I did not mean to do that. I put just text wrapping in a column. Okay. Yeah, that's it. It's like 2 a.m. I'm kind of tired. So, yeah. See you tomorrow.